Welcome back to the Rated Podcast. This is our fourth episode of the first season. It's also the finale. It's a short season. And today we're joined by Tommy McDonald to have us talk about Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. And before we get into that, and we are on Zoom this time because Tom is very far away, and this just works out. It's a lot easier for us to have the setup like this. Although the other three of us are in the same place in most
technically.
Yeah.
Under the same roof.
Essentially.
We are under the same roof for sure.
Yeah. So before we talk about The Dark Knight, shall we go around and talk about
let's recap the Flash. Yeah. So kind of recap our predictions from last time. The Flash currently holds 66% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% audience score. And Stace actually took the win on this one. She predicted exactly 66%. I predicted 75. Jeremy predicted a very high 89 for some reason.
I think I know why. It had Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
The 89 Batman.
That
probably weren't even thinking. That's probably what got you there.
See?
That's it.
There you go. Somehow it's rationalized now.
I'm trying.
I don't know. I fell for the propaganda. I fell for the campaign.
That is true. Yeah. And you were like really naming all the people, right? Like this person. Said that it was really good. Yeah.
Stephen King, Jaden Smith. I don't know why Jaden Smith was talking.
Yeah, that was a
super random.
Not sure why he's a voice of authority.
Yeah, positive press, and it crashed. I mean, it did 55 million in the domestic 3-day weekend. I think it topped out at like 62, like over the 4-day weekend because it was Juneteenth, so it was a holiday weekend. I mean, it's bad. It's bad for DC, and now a lot of people are kind of scrambling. They're saying that it's, James Gunn's fault now because he announced a reboot of DC. So they're like, well, there's no interest because this isn't going anywhere anymore. Why would people come to the, theater to see a film that the character might get recast in and whatever? So really interesting. And of course, The Flash, Ezra Miller, very controversial. They could not do any press appearances because of all of the allegations, which of course also hurt, promoting this film. I mean, Michael Shannon did more interviews for this film than pretty much anyone else. And Michael Shannon pretty much just went around saying like superhero films are meaningless work, which was kind of funny.
We do love him though.
Michael Shannon's great.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And so either way, very interesting. I don't want to full on spoil it in case anybody listens, but it is worth looking into. Some of the cameo choices were very controversial. Just a lot of weird decisions with this film.
So did you see it?
I did not.
Okay.
But
just
I know
curious.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
I'm with you. I haven't seen it, but I think I have the gist of the film.
Yeah.
From YouTube or whatever else.
Yeah. If you're online enough, you've seen.
Yeah, you see it.
Every major thing that happens. Yeah. I'm surprised at the state of the internet now. What have you all watched lately? Because my June has been filled with films.
I guess really quick before we move into the what are we watching segment, I wanted to correct last episode 3. I mentioned Emma Corrin and I used the wrong pronouns. Their pronouns are they, them. So I just wanted to clarify that. Also with Ezra Miller's pronouns are also they, them.
Are they?
Clarify.
Yeah.
They are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller's?
I think so.
Damn.
Yeah,
I think I fucked that one up too.
All right. Well, yeah, so now we can move into what have we been watching lately. Who would like to take the lead here?
I think Jeremy
definitely wants to.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, what have I seen? I saw Transformers Rise of the Beast, which was another Transformers film. It's just kind of loud. It sounds like a bunch of car accidents over and over again for like 2 hours. It's all over the place. It's just not great. I saw The Blackening, which was hilarious. One of the only comedies I've seen this year, yeah, where everybody was laughing the whole time in the theater. Really, really good satire. Master Gardener, the new Paul Schrader film with Joel Edgerton. Great. Fantastic.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, it's so good. And then Past Lives. Past Lives, brilliant. Perfect. No notes.
Nice.
Amazing. I mean, like, amazing. And I'm halfway through Beau is Afraid, and I
shit
get why people don't like it.
Damn, I absolutely forgot about that movie.
Brielle did tell me that, like, shout out to Brielle if you ever listened to
oh my god, yeah.
She did say the end was really good.
The end was good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Brielle also walked out of Spider-Man, so
that's true. But well,
wow.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then
sorry to put her on blast.
Sorry, Brielle.
And then everyone should be watching the other two, right? That we're plugging every week until they send us.
I still don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it one day.
Yeah.
After 4 weeks, I don't know what it is still.
Best comedy.
Tom, have you seen the other two?
I haven't even heard of it until right now.
Okay, yeah, me either. Well, I have the past 4 weeks. The past 4 recordings I have.
Well, okay, so I must have heard of it listening to this, but it hasn't sunk in enough. So I apologize.
Actually heard the podcast.
That's so true. Okay.
I can go next.
Okay.
I've been watching. So we've technically on summer break now at UC Davis. So I've been watching quite a lot. But The Village, as I texted Jeremy very energetically about, I loved it. It was actually my first time seeing it from beginning to end. I think I'd seen clips of it. I absolutely loved The Village. I thought it was fantastic. It was a weird little fable story. Yeah, I liked it. Performance is fantastic. Joaquin Phoenix, Bryce Dallas Howard.
They're so all good. In that.
Yeah. Adrian Brody. I mean, I guess I should I do want to have a disclaimer. I think it's a weirdly ableist film, and it portrays disability through 2 disabled characters really differently.
Interesting.
And both, I think, in potentially dehumanizing or reductive ways. So I do want to emphasize that. But I think it had some interesting elements in terms of the theme of fear, family, etc.
I still haven't seen it, but I really, it's on my list. Yeah. And it's Shyamalan, right?
Yeah. Which I like some of his decisions in it, as a director. I think they're interesting. I'm not talking about The Last Airbender. I can't talk about M. Night Shyamalan in a fair way. I'm also bringing in the Avatar: The Last Airbender again.
Did you do that last time?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
And so, not talking about The Last Airbender. I'm not even considering that as I talk about M. Night Shyamalan as a director and creator. But yeah, I liked The Village. I tried to watch Lady in the Water after, and I couldn't really get through it. But The Village I liked. And I knew it had a lot of negative kind of opinions on it when it was released, early 2000s. But I thought it was pretty good.
That'll be next on my list. I don't know where it's streaming. But you didn't stream it?
Probably not.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. We don't always do that.
I found it.
You picked it up off the street.
It fell on the ground. I picked it up.
Fell off the cargo truck and you just grabbed it.
The movie truck dropped it.
Yeah. The red box truck,
I picked it from the movie tree.
Let's go to Tom. Would you like to share?
Sure. Man, movie wise, I don't know. Outside of
that, show, it could be show too.
TV. I've been on a hardcore nostalgia kick lately, so I haven't really been watching a lot of new stuff. There's a show from the 90s I used to watch that I don't know if you guys would have heard of it. It's called The Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's on Netflix. They have a YouTube channel, so I've just been really hardcore going through.
It must be really niche.
4th season, yeah.
Deep cut.
It's terrible too. I mean, it's a terrible kids show. It's based on based on a Japanese show, Super Sentai, and they clearly didn't give a shit when they're coming up with any of the scripts on anything. It's just like they're people in colorful outfits hitting other things, and kids are watching. We don't really need to worry about anything, right? Still, I'm about to be 34 years old. I'm still watching, so clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess they did the Lord's work there. I'm totally captivated, but that's pretty much it. Just watch it while I'm doing the dishes. So,
do you have a favorite Power Ranger?
I would have said Tommy, the Green or White Ranger. It's my name. Definitely rewatching Jason, the original Red Ranger. He Classic. Is for sure the man. Just
a hero.
It's awesome. Sure. So yeah, I would have to say Jason.
Wait,
what about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite one?
Oh wait, what?
How about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite one?
Yeah, Power Ranger.
Ooh.
I thought I remember. I think this is from like the original, right? The American original, like Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
Was it the yellow Power Ranger, or am I just playing into the racist color stereotype?
Trini was the
one. And I think that the actress like died very young.
Twee Trang, she died like right around 9/11, like that month for sure. I read initially it was like September 10th.
Yeah.
But I think it was definitely in September that month. But she like drove.
So
well, she didn't drive, but
nowadays,
or really,
that one.
Yeah. That character's awesome.
Yeah. But when I was a kid, awesome. That wasn't my favorite because I had a lot of internalized racism. So I was like, no. But nowadays, like, come on, yeah. And also, just tragic. So
yeah.
Tom, how do you feel about, because now I'm curious, because I just also have friends that are super duper into Power Rangers. How do you feel about like the more recent seasons? Like, what is it, like Jungle Fury? Like
I haven't watched anything. I mean, definitely the last, as far as new seasons go, the most recent season I watched, I was still a kid. It was in the 90s, probably In Space, which was the first season that had none of the original Rangers in it. I think that was the farthest out I went. If this mission keeps going, I may just go until we're at modern times. So I might have to come back and tell you guys at some point in the future. But right now, I don't really know.
Yeah, we'll do a Power Rangers podcast special.
I'm super down. That could be awesome.
That's pretty good. Okay. I saw a lot of new stuff recently, but not like that is new. Like I just saw stuff that was new to me. Except I did see The Little Mermaid. So now I've seen that and I can because we did that one 2 weeks ago. Like we voted on the didn't necessarily care for it. But singing was great on the part of some people and on the part of others, not really. I don't really think there's anything more to say there. I did watch, I was telling Rosette, I watched this movie called The Block Island Sound, which was like, it was like sci-fi sort of thriller. Wouldn't really call it horror, but maybe. That was all right. That was interesting. Wasn't like my favorite for sure. And I hated the ending because they ended up doing this kind of like repeated voiceover, like reiterating this like theme that they were really trying to drive home, and it was just like it was too much. It was overkill. And I also watched The Taking of Deborah Logan. Does anybody know that one? That's a horror as well. It's one of those ones. There's another movie kind of like it called Relic, but it's one of those like horror films about kind of like watching a parent or like a loved one succumb to like dementia, and watching that kind of like unfold in a really tragic and like horrific way, also embedded with like some supernatural elements. So it's an interesting theme, but I've seen it done before, and I don't know if it was done very well in Taking a Deborah Logan, but it was like interesting at least. Some moments were really cool. Others were like, eh. It was a found footage also, and I'm not a huge fan of found footage. Like it takes a lot for me to like that. Although like I think you hate this movie too, Rosette, but Creep, I really loved.
Creep?
Yeah, it's that guy that you hate. The actors in it. Jeremy, you know what I'm talking
about? No. Creep?
Like, I know you hate the guy.
I also
Mark Duplass.
Yeah,
I do hate Mark Duplass.
Is that guy? Is that guy a creep?
Because of this one movie he did with Aubrey Plaza. Hold on.
Yeah,
it was awful.
Because of the character that he played, though, right?
Yeah, but also there's something about it.
Okay. Did you see Creep?
No,
I didn't. I don't think so.
Neither of you have.
I love him though. I watch everything.
Yeah. Well, Creep is, and it's the one like found footage. Creep and Grave Encounters. Those are like, I don't even know if there's a third. Those are my top 2 found footage.
What about
horror, I guess. What would you say?
Paranormal Activity, like the first one?
No, I don't care. No.
How about Cloverfield?
Garbage. What'd you say?
Cloverfield?
That was okay. It's still not my favorite.
What about the OG?
The
what
OG
about the OG Blair Witch?
Oh, no, I don't care. I don't like it.
that's not right.
I think that just holds a place in my heart.
Sorry to everyone. Yeah,
that's all good.
For letting you down. That really does let people down when I say that as like a horror film sort of.
That was
just
anxiety inducing. Like, I think I lost 10 years off my life watching the Blair Witch.
I appreciate it for what?
Oh no, go on.
Oh, I was just say I appreciate it for like its ingenuity at the time, for sure. Like in the sense of like the found footage genre. But I can't do it with that kind of like that kind of editing and like filmmaking.
Sure. Like, you don't like enjoy the process of watching this.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say you don't like enjoyable movies. Oh, so you just don't like good films. Like, but yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I understand. Like, I can't like watch the Blair Witch for fun, you know.
Yeah,
some people can.
But even like there's films that I love that I wouldn't consider enjoyable. So I don't think it's that because of that. I think it truly is just something about the style that I can't really get past. However, right, I've gotten past it with Creep and with Grave Encounters.
Okay.
My 2 exceptions.
Mark Duplass was in a good movie called The One I Love with Elizabeth Moss. That was a good movie. But he also played like an idiot. And so I think it was a fitting role.
Damn.
I'm really being mean to him. The movie I didn't like was Safety Not Guaranteed. And then also the puffy chair. I don't like any of those movies.
I don't know that one.
Like, he does like the weird, like quirky Pacific Northwest early 2000s.
Sure.
Decemberist, like kind of stuff. Death Cab for Cutie kind of stuff. He likes the vibe. And I just don't.
I can see that.
I don't like that like evocation. But The One I Love is a really good movie.
Okay. Mark Duplass, come on the show.
Sorry. Prove me wrong.
Change my view.
Change my mind.
We need him and Jay, to come on the show.
Yeah.
His brother, Duplass.
They're like filmmaking duo. Yeah, they're like.
Did he make Creep? Or is that a different director? No, he didn't make Creep. Okay, never mind.
No.
Anyway, let's have them both on. Why not? Let's just do one where we get like all like siblings who work together, like the Franz sisters or something. The Coen brothers. Who are the other ones that?
Matrix sisters.
Yeah,
I want all the Wayans.
All the Ryans.
All the Wayans.
Oh yeah, definitely the Wayans.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
We should do a scary movie. Speaking of special at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, actually. Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
It's in the poll. It's in the movie poll.
Wait, what is?
Scary movie.
The movie poll.
Movie night poll, yeah.
Oh,
if Jeremy ever shows up to
that's right. Yeah.
Like a movie like Poll. Like
oh no, Poll. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, now I get it.
Okay.
Okay, should we talk about
all right, yes.
Batman?
You read my mind.
Okay. I mean, I'll just open with a thought. I had not realized, and I, because I consume every comic book movie that comes out basically, just how good of a character introduction the beginning of this film is for the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is insane. Like, it is just good. It is just good. And it makes so many other films that have come out since then, because that was in 2008, like, look like dirt. And I'm just like, Nolan still nailed a better villain than, I mean, there's been like 70 since that have been so uninteresting. A big criticism of Marvel films is that a lot of the villains are very formulaic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was like the last time you watched something and you were just like, wow, I'm like really pulled into this moment. The introduction of that movie is great.
Fantastic. So I don't know how old you guys were when this came out, but that intro for months before Dark Knight came out was being shown on like every Legendary film, because I think it's a Legendary movie. Probably anything connected to Warner. They showed that first 6 or 7 minute scene everywhere to get everyone hyped, because they knew this is the shit. This is insane. I think I Am Legend. Did I go to see that, or someone might have told me that was the first person that had seen that intro. But just to go to what you're saying, they knew they had some, something insane there. So like, let's play it everywhere. People aren't going to miss out. They're going to see the rest of this movie. It's going to be even better. But we know we have something amazing here for this intro.
It's an incredible. That was also something that I wrote, so I'm glad you brought that up. And it's a great place to start. But the opening sequence is just incredible. There's nothing to say. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a little like sloppy. I kind of want to take that back. Not like, I think the editing is like super clean. Something about like I think for somehow like I think the editors really like scraped it up. Like it almost seemed like it was like bordering on being sloppy or being like a little bit like too chaotic. And obviously like we're working with like the theme of chaos, which makes sense. But because the editing is like so sharp, I think that really pulls it together, and it makes the scene like really just coherent and like just really fun. It's so fun to watch. It's a great sequence, really. It's pretty long.
Just like you're on the edge of your seat until the end. Stace and I watched in a little theater room, and it was fantastic. I haven't seen it since like it probably came out when I was in high school. It was fantastic to watch. Edge of the Sea, what a great way to start.
Weren't we just talking about, well, when Tom said like I don't know how old you guys were, but I was just saying when we were watching it that it just was not on my radar when it came out. So I didn't really discover it until, I mean, I knew it existed, right? But I didn't even watch it until probably whenever it was that I finished or was writing my master's thesis, which I think was like 2020 or 2019. And I actually hadn't even seen it before then. And then I was watching it every day, like on repeat. Like I was writing my thesis from like 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m. at home. It was also like COVID, right? Like COVID hit in like March of 2020. So like I was just sitting at home and it was playing on a loop. And it was like amazing. Like, and obviously sometimes I wasn't watching it, but like that's the first time that it really came to be the part of my life that it is today. And it was just a great thing to like throw on for some reason, like not like mindlessly, but and I do love it for like watching it and paying attention to it actively as well, because that was a lot of fun. And watching it in the theater is super cool. It's a really fun experience that recreates the fact that I didn't see it in theaters or even know that it existed when it came out, which was 2008. Is that what it was?
2008.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because my movie, like my go-to writing film, is Star Wars Episode 2 and 3. I just put them on. I just over and over and over again. I've watched them so many times now. Yeah, and I love writing to them. Like,
that's amazing.
Interesting. Just 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Tom already knows this, but I still haven't seen any of the like original Star Wars, like the Star Wars trilogy. I've never seen it, so I could name a lot of films that I haven't seen, and people would like be surprised, or they would probably like never take anything that I say seriously again, because they'd be like, you haven't seen that, like, and you're doing film, like, no. But yeah, I've never seen. So why 2 and 3 and not the first one? I guess this is totally not on the subject of The Dark Knight. So,
well, you know what? I'll bring it back to The Dark Knight. For some reason, there's something about maybe like the start of a franchise that I dislike, because I don't like Batman Begins.
Maybe you don't like. You might just not like Liam Neeson. Is that possible?
I could. You're using both. Actually, that's a good observation. I completely forgot that. Yeah, I cannot watch that first Batman film. I don't think I've watched it in parts many times and like many attempts, never sat through the entire thing. I just I don't know why. Dark Knight, great. Dark Knight Rises.
It's definitely like the least memorable of the trilogy for sure.
The first one.
Yeah, Batman Begins. I don't remember much except Liam Neeson, truly, and Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes as Rachel. Yeah,
sadly
replaced.
Isn't that the one where the like house is on fire and he's like trying to push the off of them?
Yeah, Alfred says, "What's the point in doing all those push-ups if you can't lift up a bloody log or something like that?"
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the only line that's stuck in my head. That's it. Yeah.
And it's connected to Dark Knight Rises, right? Because Marion Cotillard's character is the daughter of Liam Neeson's character.
Yep. And Bane is he was a disciple of the League of Shadows. And he got excommunicated because he was too gnarly. Like he was too far in that direction.
Really?
Like, we're bad, but like we're not that bad. You gotta go, bro.
I didn't know that.
I know that Marion has famously like online like a terrible death.
That was the worst death scene I've ever seen.
Can someone remind me? What is it?
In the tunnel. She was in some sort of like Humvee vehicle or something, and then it like crashes, and she just kind of like falls out of the little like portal or whatever it is. And she does like this. She like has these final words that I don't even remember. She like barely speaks. I'm so sorry to Marion Cotillard. She's like fantastic actress, especially in like French films. But maybe it was just like the English. I have no fucking idea. But she has like these final like words, and then she. Like, do you remember that scene? She does like this weird like head jerk, and then like her head falls, and it's so bad.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
It's
hilarious to
the worst.
I have to watch it now.
That scene I've ever seen on film.
Really?
That's
like
I can't think of anything that comes to mind that's like a cringier death scene.
So maybe that's what she was shooting for, because she's such a good actress. She's like, the best death scene's already been done. Let's go for the worst.
The worst, yeah.
Can I do it? And maybe that's, so maybe she can check.
And did she?
Superlative death scene. For sure.
So what else did you all pick up on The Dark Knight?
So one thing I noticed actually last night that I never really, I guess I noticed, but it didn't really come to mind, which goes to, I think what Stacey was saying about, or maybe it was Rosette. One of you two were saying something about how like sloppy the intro was, but it was still well edited. Like it was purposely.
It was tight, but somehow.
So another thing they did a lot was this circling camera.
Oh my God,
we have that in our notes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can come back to that later.
No,
it's fine. Keep going. Yeah.
The circling camera, sometimes you almost don't notice it that much, and it seems almost a little kind of funky when you do start to notice it, but it only happens when things are really chaotic, and as soon as the chaos stops, the camera stops. Like in the relatively beginning of the movie, it's Lieutenant Gordon, Harvey Dent, and Batman. They're trying to figure out how to go get Lau. And that's the first time we see that. And as soon as Batman comes in and says, like, I can go to Hong Kong, or if someone points that out, it stops. Like, okay, cool, there's a fix. But there's this chaotic, like, clearly two different, you know, ideals. Lieutenant Gordon, Harvey Dent, they're not seeing eye to eye. Chaos. Batman comes, he's like, I got it, dude. And it stops. And they do that a couple of times in the movie.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what are the other scenes?
It's like a spinning out of control, and then
the other time that that specific thing happened, this is my favorite of the two. Bruce Wayne's party, he's throwing for Harvey Dent after Joker comes up, when he's talking to Rachel. He's going over the second time around the reason he got the scars, and it's the first time we realize we can't, you know, for anyone who didn't know Joker already at that point, we can't trust anything. And as soon as he starts with that different story, we got the circling thing going on again. And it only stops again when Batman comes out. You're gonna love me, you know, gives him a whack. And that's when we're just kind of back to, you know, a relatively standard, you know, camera angle. So I think it goes to how they were trying to use everything possible to show how chaotic this movie was supposed to be, with still keeping it super clean, you know. Like they're riding that wave where it's like, if it's any more chaotic with what we're doing with the camera, it's going to look like we don't know what we're doing. We'll keep it like right before that line. So you might not even notice it, but if you do, it's like it's totally fine anyway, because this movie still kills it. And it's good. Makes me happy.
I did always think those scenes were like a little out of place in terms of like the cinematography. But when you just said the thing about like something like spinning out of control and then coming to and then becoming centered, it kind of just, it's different, but it reminds me of like this trope of like the coin flip, like Harvey Dent's coin flip, which isn't entirely chance, right? Like that's the whole point also. It's like it does have it's rigged in a sense, right? So there is like a control to it, even though it seems like it's entirely chaotic. So it's an interesting, so it's like a quasi parallel to between the cinematography and between that kind of theme.
I'm also just thinking about the 360-degree camera angle in terms of how else it's used in other movies. I think it definitely stood out to me when I watched this one. And Stacey, I don't know if you remember, like I'm used to like the big kiss at the end of the movie being like the 360-degree, like really corny. I'm also used to 360-degree like face off, right, between like two kind of antagonists, or two people who are antagonized against each other. But in terms of like the way that it was used, it created like this weird intimacy between like whoever was in the circle as well. Kind of like the inner circle. And I think the film explores that well, like the fine line between hero and villain, vigilante and like law person, right? Etc.
The best quote of the film, right? You either die a hero
or live long enough to become a villain.
It's kind of like the dumbest quote ever.
I guess,
but
I do want to clarify a quote, but we'll save that for towards the end probably.
Okay, I don't know what you're thinking of, but I'm sure I'll remember. Yeah.
Oh wait, you know what? This is a really good moment for you to all find out a secret about me, and Tom, you're gonna also find out about this at the same time.
Cool.
I because you know this was a million years ago, and I thought it was really cool. I have a "Why So Serious" tattoo. Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask where it is, but it sounds like it's not like readily visible. Because I've never noticed it. Yeah.
But it's on me. That's
the
decision I made almost 20 years ago.
I was gonna say, did you get that when the film came out, when you saw it, or did you get it like
as an homage to the Joker?
I think so, yeah. Damn. Which makes sense because I'm so chaotic.
Yeah.
Not at all. But I do remember seeing this movie No,
what were you gonna say?
Oh, I saw this movie when it came out in IMAX, at the DC IMAX theater. I remember it being massive, like huge. And I'm glad I did. It was cool to see. I mean, it's a good movie.
I mean, speaking of taglines, I'm just gonna bring my quotation. I'm confused about it. So, you know, like the whole thing at the end, right? Like that he just Batman disappears, kind of becomes low key until the Rising, right, in the next one. But I never understood Gordon's quote, right? The hero Gotham deserves but doesn't need. I don't understand that distinction.
And the prefacing of it, right, is like, he says that about Batman.
Yeah.
And before that, he says Harvey Dent is the hero that Gotham needed, but doesn't deserve.
Right.
So that, like, right. And then he inverts that for Batman.
Right.
I'm still racking my brain about that. I'd love to hear what Tom has to think about. How do you decipher that quote, right?
So,
is that weird?
Yeah.
The way I always took it, and I'm just going to point out, I am, as far as college degrees go, I'm definitely the least knowledgeable here. So maybe this is how I'm coming at it, from just like a dumb comic book point of view, rather than like
college degrees don't matter.
They don't.
No, I'm saying you guys are constantly looking at text and trying to discern things, whereas I'm just like, Big Bang's cool. I don't know, like I'm not gonna think.
I mean,
too
it's
much
a cool
about
line.
It. So maybe this is how my brain's getting here. I just wanted to point that out. The way I took it was, Batman could be kind of anything. So if they needed him to be the villain, cool, go for it. Whereas Harvey Dent was just supposed to be their district attorney. So let's let him, Gotham wants this guy to have been the one who saved everything, so we can keep all these mobsters in jail. Batman, I don't know, like let's just say he calls all the shit. Who cares? He's a guy with a mask on. Like, let's just get him out of here. Even though we know he actually saved everyone's ass. Gotham wants this guy, so quote unquote white knight, to have done everything. So let's keep him as the hero, and someone needs to be blamed for this. Let's let Batman do it. He just said, like, it's him. Cool, go for it. So that's how I always took it. Is there a better way to have said that, if that's what they were trying to say? Probably, but that was always my interpretation.
I think the way it's said is good. Like, it's powerful, it's catchy, like people quote it all the time.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the construction of the phrase. I'm just like, the implication is that Batman is better than Harvey because he's like, we remained a hero, right?
Yeah.
And so when you bring up the idea of like, what kind of hero does a city or a town or a community deserve? Like, deserve always makes me feel like there's a better thing, right? That you have to like strive to deserve this thing. But then also, like, no, it could work the other way, right? That like, you deserve a flawed hero, right? You're a flawed city, you deserve a flawed hero. I don't know. That's like, I can like, I don't know. I have no idea.
No, I have a hard time with that. Because also I think that Tom, I think I agree with like everything that you're saying in terms of that interpretation, but I feel like it doesn't map onto the way that phrase is presented. Because if Batman is filling the role of like whatever the city needs, or whatever the city, whatever the city needs, doesn't that make him, he's the hero that Gotham needs at the moment? Not because, again, to go back to like the idea of like deserving, again, I have trouble with that, because it seems like there's something like meritorious about, there's something that desires to be merited.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a political thing as well, like, like the idea of like revolutions, like you need like the poster child who like is the need, right? The city needs this idealistic heroic whatever, but like the person who's actually doing the heroic stuff is doing like the like dirty work behind the scenes, making difficult decisions that are not going to be popular, right? I wonder if it's like, I kind of think of it in the terms of that like political revolutionary sense.
That's pretty much how I think it works too. The other big part to just push that completely, like the rest of the way over the edges, because Harvey put like halfway through the movie, if not earlier, he put, was it like 500 mobsters in jail for 18 months? If everyone realized Harvey Dent turned into Two-Face and caused a bunch of shit,
right,
they would all went on the streets. So they needed that poster boy, like you were saying. But also someone had to take the fall for something. So if they let Batman do it, they also keep the streets clean for, 18 months or 17 months, however, much later we are in their timeline at that point. That was, I mean, that's pretty much what you said is kind of how I interpreted it. Just said it a lot more eloquently than I could muster.
Just redundantly. But yeah, all right. Well, thank you. I have been thinking about that last line for a minute.
And I guess, delivery of it is great, right? But a quote that takes that, maybe it doesn't take that much. Maybe it's just we were overthinking in it, but like, it's like a quote that takes that much work to actually dissect that second half of it, right? I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think about, do you have any quotes?
I don't know. I think I also just have like a very basic just reading of it, of just being about, appearances and perception.
Yeah. Then I'm the one overthinking.
I think I was overthinking it too. I'm still stuck on the deserve thing, but like just obviously we understand the word choice, but like trying to make it fit. Yeah.
The deserve side I always took as there were good people in Gotham, but the criminal underbelly kept Gotham dirty. So the not bad people deserve someone to clean up Gotham. So I always took that deserve as like the rest of the people that are just trying to live, and not be, have these criminal activities going on, deserved someone like Batman to fix that and be whatever they needed them to be.
Oh, should I read the full, like Google the full quote?
Yeah, go ahead and read it again.
Okay, so this is with Lieutenant Gordon and then his son. He's like, why is he running, Dad? Because we have to chase him. He didn't do anything wrong. Because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt him because he can take it. Because he's not our hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector at Dark Knight.
Yeah, I wish the rest of the quote like helped me in any way.
It sounds cool as shit. Yeah, like it sounds very cool.
Yeah, it's like it just doesn't. And maybe I'll just like forever
disappears on his motorbike. Yeah,
he does. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It was awesome, by the way. I want the motorbike. Bad bike.
Oh, we were talking about.
I was talking about early 2000s the design was like super clunky, like it reminded me of like Hummers, Humvees.
The bike and
it was very post 9/11. I'll put it that way.
Super bulky,
motorized vehicles. Yeah.
And so is he, right? Like in his suit.
Oh yeah.
He's got fucking like a tactical belt.
Oh yeah.
Shit. Like very accentuated though. I mean, I think he always has a belt, right? But like it's super like tactical.
And then it's kind of nice that we're zooming right now because there was that Zoom scene with the Joker. Do you guys remember when he was meeting with the Gotham's like gangster bosses?
Oh, on the TV.
He's just on the TV.
What's his face? What's his name? Who's on the TV?
Lau.
The
Lau
Joker
was on the TV.
Oh,
no, the Joker was in the room with him.
Is that what you mean?
Oh, that's right.
Or are you thinking of when they're showing him on the TV?
No. I'm thinking of when Lau was on the TV.
Oh,
but the Joker was in a couple of those like handheld videos.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that might be what
camcorder.
You're casting.
And that's interesting too, right? Like how it's kind of in like predicting, but also like I guess this kind of like surveillance and self publicity was on the rise at this time too. But like we do unfortunately live in a world where people are doing horrendous acts and recording themselves while doing it and televising, not even televising, like distributing it digitally, which is so much more than televising it. But yeah, I think I don't love this movie, but I think the stuff that it does is quite revolutionary, and I think it's also been like a vehicle for incredibly like iconic scenes, moments, taglines, and of course the character of the Joker, which I think is like the best thing in this film.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were all
probably not even like
no, it's like not enough. Right objectively. And we were talking about how like Batman is truly like we could take or leave Batman kind of ultimately in this movie. It's like and it's Christian Bale who's like doing a hilarious voice, and like
the voice will never not throw me off.
That's one thing in this movie that is annoying. If you do watch Batman Begins, the voice is still wonky, but
Isn't it? It's different.
kind of realistic. It's just him talking, whereas in
Yeah.
this, it's an overdub, and they put distortion on it to really like differentiate it. So it's like really, really, really in your face.
Do you know if they do that in the third one?
I think they do in that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, him and Tom Hardy are basically like nothing you
can't hear. And I don't understand a thing Tom Hardy says.
Yeah, even with that, it's all ADR. It's all still recorded after.
Interesting.
But you still can't understand it.
Yeah.
You might like remember this. There was like a controversy with like the sound mixing of that film when it came out, right? Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, Tom Hardy did try reading all the lines under his mask and, whatever. So they did it in ADR, but you still have trouble understanding him even with him just talking into a mic, which is pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. It's wild, but yeah, he had to record every single line. So he did read them in person so they could get through and
Sure.
But yeah, everything you hear Bane saying was recorded, after the fact.
Interesting. They should have just given him like hard-coded subs.
They should have given him subs.
Although I don't know what kind of connotation that would have. Like,
yeah. Or the entire thing
because it's ableist,
subtitled.
Right? Yeah. And then you sub him. Right. It's already And then you sub him and it's like, oh, guess we're just gonna we're just gonna run with
doubly,
it.
Ableist.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Like, anyone else want to bring up some elements from the film that we want to kind of dig into?
Well, I
think...
when we were.
Oh wait, no, good.
No, all you, buddy.
About 34.
Oh, great.
Oh, I just want to know what you guys think about Harvey Dent's prosthetic.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that too.
So actually, that wasn't a prosthetic.
Yeah,
that was the only CGI I think, or like one of the very few times they used CGI because they tried a prosthetic and it brought his face out too far, and they wanted it to seem like it was
sunken.
Sure, which makes sense.
Yeah, it was like something with the eye, right? If I'm not mistaken, you might know more about this.
The eye, I'm not sure. I just remember it was the main thing that stood out was literally how far out his face came. So there probably was something with the eye too that was difficult, where because you are seeing almost his entire eye, so that'd be tough. Yeah, that would make sense too.
Yeah, I just remember thinking it was so like grotesque when I first watched it, and then again rewatching it and still thinking like, ugh. Like,
but it's so cool too.
Gnarly.
It's also so not realist. Like, I don't know. I guess I've never seen anyone with like half their face blown off. But
you asked that, you're like, is that what it really?
What it actually looks like? I don't know. I mean, there's like footage from World War I soldiers and stuff who have had those kinds of issues. I'm sure it looks pretty gnarly, but like even that is like too cinematic,
Yeah.
Like if they did it for real, like there's no way we could like an audience could stomach looking.
Yeah. Especially like he's like in the hospital,
cartoony about it.
Yeah. And he like just had that injury.
It's great though, because look, there's this part where that side of his face was on the pillow, and I can't remember who he was talking to.
He's talking to Gordon.
And you see like the blood and the
on the pillow
and the gunk on his pillow.
But then they reveal.
That was a good touch, I think.
Yeah, when he turns. I do love that scene. Yeah. Or that whole scene when he's talking to him. Yeah.
And going into face stuff too.
Yeah.
This is one of the few, or this is the first time in cinematic history, not that there were a ton of live action Jokers before this, but traditionally, if there was any kind of backstory, the Joker had something happen that made his face white.
Yeah.
So to try to bring realism in, they obviously had him put his war paint on. And I know like the 89 Batman, they used story from this book, The Killing Joke, which was referenced a lot in Dark Knight. It's one of the few things that weren't in there, but he fell into a vat of acid, or at least chemicals that changed him around. And that was definitely always kind of looked at as the main idea of what kind of brought that in. So I like that he this is really his own Joker. And I heard something I don't remember who said it. I was probably watching a YouTube video of someone talking about Dark Knight just to try to get some ideas. And there was a theory going around online, based on a line that Joker said when he was talking to Harvey Dent. Said if a little gangbanger gets shot, or a battalion of armies gets shot, it's no big deal. It's definitely paraphrasing a little bit. One little mayor, gets shot, and everyone loses their minds. There's an idea that, I mean, I'm sure there was no thought in that line outside of the line going there, but a cool, theory that some people came up with was he may have actually been, some kind of veteran, and just kind of had the Rambo treatment where no one really cared when he came back home. And that's kind of the thing that drove him, and the scars may have been from, a war-based injury. So I'm sure that's not canon, but it was really cool to hear that.
Right.
Like, wow, that's, if the lines were there, that would be a kind of cool backstory for this version of Joker, because clearly he knows firearms, he knows, he knows everything that like explosive, all these things. Obviously, combat, he's got a little bit there. So like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Sure, that's not canon whatsoever, but it was a cool thought. Headcanon. Cool headcanon,
I feel like the context, again, it's so post 9/11 when, like, as I watch it, from like the cityscapes of Gotham to, although I guess filming was in Chicago. I think historically Chicago's usually been like used, right, as Gotham. But I think like the militarization of the Batmobile, all of that stuff is I feel like it does evoke that quality of this country, right? It's essentially a product of this country still at war, or a war overseas, really. Yeah, at that time, 2008. Yeah. I do think obviously like Heath Ledger's performance is legendary. Did you guys want to maybe talk specifically, like was there a specific Joker scene that maybe you viewed kind of a different way upon rewatching it? I feel like there's so many like layers to the performance. Each time I watch it, I like appreciate something new about his performance.
I've got one that just maybe connects to Tom, what you were saying about like the fact that it's just makeup purely, and it's not like a deformity of the skin, like because of some chemicals or whatever. But there's the one scene, which I don't really care for the sequence overall, but it's the one where they're having like that like procession for who died? I don't remember.
It was Commissioner Loeb.
Yes, okay, the commissioner. Yeah. And the Joker is like they're in like the policeman garb, right? Like him and all of his fucking cronies. And it's like the one moment where he doesn't have makeup on. And I always find that scene just like that specific scene where you see him like take the shot, right? And he misses, and he's just totally, but he's got the hat on, so he's a little bit obscured.
Yeah.
I find that scene really disturbing in some ways. Like it's just even weirder when he doesn't have his makeup on.
Totally.
And there's something not necessarily like suggestive of like this kind of like incel thing, but there's something there where it's like he's just a normal fucking guy that definitely has some issues,
right?
And is committing all of these atrocities like that, like certainly he can't hide behind the mask, or figuratively, but so it's creepier almost to see, like, not that that's like the real him, but it's a strange way to see.
Is it like the how innocuous he looks, like how kind of ordinary?
I think he does look ordinary, but in some ways he doesn't. I think he looks, you can almost see his scars more defined. So that kind of is even, because they are a little bit, they're definitely they're masked like by the makeup a little bit, right? Like the lines of the scar, so plural. Anyway, and overall I don't care for that sequence. It's not like my favorite sequence, but I just that, and it's like the quickest shots.
It is,
right?
But
they're like each like a
like
second.
When you mentioned it, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like that is quite a I don't know, like influential. It leaves quite an impression.
And his hair's up too, like it's in the hat or something like that, right? So like you don't even see his hair. It's all very
for some reason vulnerable for a second because he doesn't have like that war paint.
That's true,
right?
Yeah, and maybe that contributes to why it's so scary, like even more disturbing than like how he normally presents.
Yeah,
that's the only thought I have there. Otherwise, I love the truck scene, the truck sequence, the chase. Yeah, there's nothing to be said about it. It's just amazing,
fantastic.
Then
and
hit me.
I usually like zone out during like chase sequences and action sequences, but I was very plugged in for sure. Yeah.
Well, I have one. When Joker is well, more specifically, when I can't think of the guy's first name, but this guy worked for Wayne Enterprises. Coleman Reese, maybe. It's a guy who
that little shrimpy guy.
Yeah, the one who figured out that Bruce Wayne was Batman. Joker calls into Gotham Tonight or whatever it was, and says, someone needs to shoot this guy, or I'm going to blow up a hospital. So that whole kind of thing, we get to the point, everyone gets pulled out. Joker walks out after he has that crazy scene with now Two-Face, where he finds out that it was Joker's fault that Rachel passed away, and Joker walks out. He's got the detonation device and kind of walks out, and he's looking around like nothing's going on. He's doing his whole like, and then it blows up and he runs out. So two things with that. First, they actually I mean, I don't know how they could have done this anyway, but there was a building they got okay to demolish. It was a like a chocolate plant or something, chocolate or candy factory that just hadn't been used for years. They made it look like a hospital, and since it was one go, they had to make it happen. So that was all improv, but it was super hardcore in character. Like nothing's more Joker than what he was doing there. Like that was, to me, that was just like, if you're gonna be able to be in the midst of something that has to go down, things aren't working, you just kind of have to make something happen, and you can still stay in character that much. Like that just is an ode to how dedicated to that role he was, and
for sure
how Joker that guy was.
I think I did read that. Yeah, because it was like a one take, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They had to make it work because that building's not gonna come back up,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a great scene too. And his costume there. Right?
Oh yeah, he's dressed as a nurse with a "I support Harvey."
Fantastic.
So good. So cool.
Yeah.
I do think, I guess, Tom, when you're also mentioning like the canonical backstory with the vat of acid versus, like, I feel like Heath Ledger's performance was so fantastic that he essentially remade the canon, like in his own practice.
Yeah. This,
right?
I mean,
like, incredible.
The Killing Joke, kind of, sort of. There's never been a real backstory, but like, if there was, this is what most people went to.
Right.
From Dark Knight on, there was no backstory to anything. It's like, if you like Killing Joke, cool. Other than that, like, who cares? Because clearly, this just transcended everything.
And that kind of mirrors
which is cool.
What the character does, right? Like there is no order, there is no, like, tradition can be destabilized, right? That's kind of what he does. And like the most effective story, or the best story, is the one that like hits you deepest, right?
Absolutely.
Which is what he accomplishes. Absolutely.
And then we got immediately afterwards, and this is great to bring this back because we did this last week, we had Jared Leto.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which that was the opposite of everything, basically, in so many ways. So interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've only seen the scenes. I've never seen all of, that was Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen the entire movie.
Jeremy, did you see the Snyder cut of Justice League? And if
I did.
Okay. So the Jared Leto Joker at the end of that, I think would have been cool to see. He I feel like it's still not Heath Ledger Joker, but it was definitely a far better Joker with the same character trying to play it. Just to throw that out to give him his props, because at least he tried to turn it around a little bit, not have a grill and
No, I think that's a great
comment. It was a little bit better, but yeah.
Because it was David Ayer that did Suicide Squad, and then and Zack Snyder. Yeah, I think there was at least a clear vision of where that was heading.
Yeah, yeah, it
But
could have
now the
been
rest
cool
is
to see
history.
that Joker with a little bit more screen time.
It reminds me of, do you guys remember Spring Breakers? Remember James Franco?
That sounds
Please.
familiar to me.
I've actually never seen it.
I know, I didn't see that.
Look at Jeremy, you can tell he hasn't seen it.
I know. I need.
You're the only one.
We'll edit some
Put a thing,
I
yeah.
swear to God.
Put it up.
What James Franco did in Spring Breakers is what Jared Leto did in Suicide Squad.
Ah,
And I'll just leave that there.
let's put a side by side. Someone put a. I'm like someone. It's like gonna be me. Like I'm.
We'll fix that in
With it.
post.
Yeah,
As it
me.
stays well.
Future me. Yeah.
Tom, we came up with a claim last episode that anytime you see Jared Leto in a film, it just gets worse from there.
Oh yeah.
And I think that that's also true about Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
I like like it's an interesting beginning. It's very like comic booky and fun, and then like we get this new Joker, and then it just
there's only so much that Margot Robbie can do, truly.
Right. Yeah.
To carry, yeah, for sure. I did like Birds of Prey. I feel like people don't talk about it enough.
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
Very good.
Yeah. It literally like flew
awesome,
under the radar, like not to make a pun,
No
but like,
pun
right?
intended.
Pun intended.
Yeah, but I think it did. Like,
but it was fantastic.
Yeah, but it was really good. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch it then. I honestly, I didn't even know it came out until months after, and then it's like I'm gonna watch it at some point.
Again, like I don't know if it was the studio dropped the ball with like advertising or what. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look. Chad Selesky, who does John Wick, didn't he do the action for Birds of Prey?
Cool. I didn't know that.
He did what for it?
That's awesome.
The action choreography.
The action scenes.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's like so lauded, right? Like the action sequences in
Wick. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously for the choreography, but also for like the cinematography and the way that they're not these like just super quick cuts that are really common to like whatever that is.
Yeah.
2005 and on, maybe like action films that are all just like
it's really
super fast cutting, and which I don't like. Yeah. So
yeah. They brought him in for reshoots. Kathy Ann, who was the director of it, did. And so that's what got me excited initially. But it is, I mean, it's good.
Yeah,
it's fun. I like the bodega sandwich scene. That's cute.
Oh yeah.
With the which one? Oh, the sandwich.
The breakfast sandwich. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Tom, you'll see when you watch it.
Keep that in mind.
I'm off for the next 2 days. Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Before I go back to work. Maybe I'll make it happen.
Yeah. Should we start maybe winding down now?
Yeah.
Leading into whether or not we think it's over or underrated.
And what was can you tell us the score again?
Yeah. So the Rotten Tomatoes score for The Dark Knight. The critic score. Oh, sorry. Perfect.
It's okay. I forgot you had. I thought you had it hanging.
Yeah, I did, but my office is just kind of a room for storage now, so I brought it out. So
I liked that reveal. Yeah, and also it's like Jack Nicholson first, right? And then you like moved on your shirt, and then you moved to reveal.
No,
right?
this is actually
is that not the Jack Nicholson?
Just an Alex Ross painting.
Oh,
so I mean, it's kind of it looks a little Jack Nicholson.
It did for a second, but now that I'm getting closer to looking,
I mean,
at it,
it's definitely that grin is.
Yeah, it's a very Jack Nicholson.
That sounds like, and like that. So I could see,
yeah,
the whatever that is.
That's also quite a feat because
Kubrick stare. No, isn't that the Kubrick stare?
What?
When you like tilt your head down, and look up. It's like the Kubrick stare.
Yeah, like the Malcolm McDowell, Clockwork Orange. Yeah.
Oh.
Jeremy.
You know.
You saw it, yeah. Okay.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the Rotten Tomatoes score, the critic score and the audience score are the same, 94%.
Oh, they are the same.
For The Dark Knight. So
now I thought it was higher. It's 94.
It does seem lower than I thought too.
I just thought it was. Anyway.
So now we have to deliberate if whether or not it's overrated or underrated.
I think it would be like a little higher.
You think it should be higher?
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
So you're saying it's underrated?
I guess a little underrated, right?
Would you put it at 100 though? Right, because it's 6 points away.
I would put it like a 98, only because for whatever reason, the scene where Aaron Eckhart's face gets burned in half is always funny looking to me. I don't know why.
Like when it's
Me too.
happening, when he's on the ground.
Yeah, it always looked funny to me. And watching it, I watched it literally, I think I stopped at like 2 a.m. this morning. So I kind of just sort of watched this again. This is the first time it kind of dawned on me, because I'm like, the fire didn't make it to him yet. The only thing that made any sense to me was maybe it was just so hot and his face
Residual
was
heat.
so
That's
saturated.
how I
Yeah,
read
the
it.
residual,
Yeah.
that was the first time. Every time before, I was like, the fire's still like feet away from him. Like, what's going on here? Didn't they know?
Right. Like Batman's just standing there, like. And like Batman like stepped in all the stuff, right? Didn't he, like in the oil?
But his suit.
Oh, whatever. His fucking suit. Yeah.
It's
fucking suit.
Oil resistant or whatever.
The miracle suit.
Slip resistant. He had like the Cookman shoes on. Yeah. Okay, so slightly underrated, Jeremy.
Well, I can jump in now. If I'm on a totally just goofy page with this. If it was 100, in my book, it would still be underrated. I think this is one of my favorite movies. That's why I'm assuming why I'm here. The thing with this movie, the reason that's the case for me, if you were to take all of the comic book aspects, boy, that was tough for me to say, out of this movie, it would be an equally great movie.
Totally.
So far, maybe outside of, ironically, the Joker, I think this is the only movie I've seen that feels that way. Like, it's not a comic book movie. It happens to be based on probably my favorite comic book character of all time. I mean, it's hard to even say arguably the best Joker. It just is. Like, I think we can all pretty much agree, at least in live action, that's the best Joker. But like, if you yank all those guys out, still super awesome movie. So I don't know. To me, it's the thing. Iron Man came out the same year. This is the reason the MCU is big. Iron Man's great, but this is the reason. Like, this is the thing that pushed it there.
And it's DC too, right?
Yeah, so it's like their competitor, but they still opened the floodgates.
They totally did. And I think Dark Knight was the first comic book movie to like hit that $1 billion mark worldwide, right? And like, obviously Marvel would take that and absolutely leap with it.
Obliterate it. Yeah.
But I think it did absolutely at least open that gate, right, for Marvel. And I think, like, to that effect, it would be more popular, right? If it feels more realistic, if more people can relate to it. There's always going to be like that person who's like, I don't like comic book movies, right? Well, this isn't for someone who only likes comic book movies, right? It's a drama, like through and through. Yeah.
Drama kind of thing. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what about you?
Oh,
I'm not going last, dude.
You what?
I'm not going last.
You're not going last? So you want to go next?
Oh, no, I am going last.
You are going last.
Yeah.
I was like, so you're next.
I am going last.
Okay. Yeah, like, part of me does just want to put it at 100. I'm not gonna lie. So I do think in some ways it's like slightly, I don't know, it's hard to say. Once you're at like the mid to like upper 90s, like I feel like it's you could take or leave those extra points. Right. Like, it's kind of as high as it could possibly get in some ways. But the other thing about it, I think, and like with obviously how rating systems just work generally, but like, if like me personally on my scale, if I were to give it 100, does that mean, like, I don't think that means so much to me that I'm saying it's a perfect film, as I'm just saying, like, it's the best it's the best version of like this that it could possibly have been.
Right.
And I do think that's true, even with like my sort of like qualms with some of the like continuity stuff. Like, there's like just really tiny things that like are kind of common to most films, which might have to do with like reverse shots, stuff like that. Which I don't think, but that's the whole point of it, is like those things like do not affect like the quality of like this film and like how entertaining it is and how fascinating it just is, like, in general, and like captivating. So like, to me, that's maybe why it would I would give it like 100
Mhm.
in my book, like in my
Mhm.
personal rating system.
Mhm.
So that being said, yeah, I guess in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know if I would call it underrated. Wouldn't call it overrated, certainly. Then I would say it's pretty much on the mark with that. And I guess if I were to put my own, or give it my own rating in my own system, it would be higher. It would be like 100, yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, I think like it's spot on, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would also I want to say like it's appropriately rated at 94%. I think mid-90s is what I would like rate it as like upon watching it. I do think watching it now is different than watching it when it officially like originally came out. And like watching it now, there is a like clunkiness to particular scenes and particular sequences. What's done well is done so well that like it doesn't even matter to an extent. But I like there are things I didn't like there were the things like Alfred's Burma story, right? That was freaking weird. There were things like Maggie Gyllenhaal's performance. I didn't really like. I love Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry, but I didn't like the Rachel Dawes performance in this. And so I think I can definitely like nitpick enough of it to bring it to a mid-90s, but I don't want to like I want to emphasize I do think it was such a huge like original vision for a comic book movie. It was quite an accomplishment. And of course the Harvey Dent's performance, like Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent was also fantastic. Like I think and it's so strange that these side characters like the Joker, not that the Joker is the side character, but like not Batman, right? Like I think Stacey mentioned that too. Like no offense to Christian Bale, but like I wasn't particularly moved by his Batman performance or the character of Batman in it.
Like a little bit of offense.
A little bit, maybe.
Like just a little, yeah.
But I think characters like Harvey Dent, fantastic. Characters like the Joker were so fantastic. Yeah. So I'm gonna say appropriately rated.
Okay. No, so nobody said overrated.
Yeah.
I think the consensus is at least there. Yeah.
No fights today.
No, truly not. For the final episode.
Yeah. And on a peaceful note.
We have, yeah. What were we most divided on? Just to kind of briefly reflect. What were was it because what have we done? We've done last time we did Blade Runner, right? 2049.
I think we all disliked it.
And we did Iron Man.
Yeah, we agreed on that. Iron Man, yeah.
And then no.
I
think we've agreed on most things.
Yeah.
I think so.
Weren't we slightly in disagreement on Iron Man? Or no? There was one where
I guess I really watched that, but I also don't remember. I feel like you were too, but I don't. It's been a while, so I don't remember.
Yeah, nothing was ever super like controversial. We were never like really up in arms about in terms of a disagreement or yeah. So overall, right.
I just want to bring this up because I've been thinking about this the whole time, but I did really like Aaron Eckhart because remember he did Thank You for Smoking before he was in Dark Knight. And then I feel like after he did Battle Los Angeles, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys saw that. I saw that in theaters. It is a ridiculous alien invasion movie. Just pro-military stuff. Not good. And then I feel like that was it. Like, I feel like everything after that sort of declined and a strange career for her. But I mean, this is probably next to Thank You for Smoking, the role that everybody knows him in.
Yeah.
I was playing
super duper weird. Just kind of dropped off.
I was just saying I get Patrick Wilson and Aaron Eckhart confused, even though they don't look physically similar.
Which I'm personally insulted by.
I'm sorry. I do love Patrick Wilson. I like Aaron Eckhart too.
I saw it a little bit though.
I think done more stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, the like rise in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
There's just something about the
way they look or like the roles they take on.
I think that they're just like similar white guys coming up at the same time, right? Because Patrick Wilson had done like doing the heroic Maybe I'm just like conflating like Phantom of the Opera.
I was gonna say, because that was around the same time as this.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Did Patrick do Phantom?
Patrick Wilson? Yeah, he was Raoul.
Sure.
Yeah, it sounded like a question. I know he was Raoul. Wait, yeah.
No,
that wasn't an inquiry.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay,
yeah, because he did a lot of, and I don't know if he still does, but he does more film now. But he was like a stage, actor, and singer. He's like,
he is vocalist, yeah. But I mean, Conjuring movies, fantastic with Patrick Wilson in them.
Also, The Watchmen.
I was gonna say Watchmen, and he was in Aquaman.
Who is he in Watchmen? It's been a while
since the owl, or that's his name.
Whatever. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
I almost forgot about that because when he was in Aquaman, and I was like, "That's his first," and I was like, "No, it's not though." Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Watchmen. Yeah.
He was also in Girls with Lana Dunham.
Oh my god, he was.
Which is something else.
So dumb.
There are a lot of people on that. Don Glover was in that. Riz Ahmed was in that.
Yeah, I like now. I don't know how she pulled that off, but
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know how she pulled a lot of things off, to be quite frank.
So should we guess on?
Yeah.
Might as well. Yeah.
Okay, so now, I mean, we're gonna guess what's coming, which is, kind of double feature of the year.
On the other side of the summer, we will meet again to discuss these predictions.
Oh yeah, we'll just do it then.
Yeah, so we've got Barbie and Oppenheimer. So of course,
should we do both?
Film. Yeah, let's do both because I mean they come out the same day. I mean, projections are everywhere. Nobody really knows, but of course, it's more hyped than like any comic book release at this point, which is kind of incredible to think about, and kind of cool to see. I mean, I don't know. It's really funny that I came up with the over/under game and I've been wrong every single week. So
I think that checks out.
It does.
Yeah, I'm a really bad gambler, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I want to go on the high end for both.
Okay.
I'm gonna go lower for Barbie. I just think that Barbie's gonna be very high comedic, campy, really fun. I'm gonna say something like an 86 for Barbie.
Okay.
And I think Christopher Nolan's gonna pull out like a 90, like a 96, maybe
96.
I'll go 96. I'll say 96.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I already have mine.
Okay.
And I've only seen the trailer for Barbie, and I know absolutely nothing about Oppenheimer. I know like whatever. I just Googled who that was like yesterday, like that person, and I was like, oh,
like Robert,
like the guy. I'm really doxing myself right now. It's just like the podcast idiot. Just no outside knowledge of the world.
What does that say for the rest of us?
All right. No, it's truly like it's like that like Sherlock Holmes. Not to like just bring Sherlock in this, like when he's like Watson tells him that like the solar system is like it's heliocentric. And he's like, okay, great, now I'm gonna do everything I can within my power to like forget what you just told me because it has nothing to do with me. Like I'm never gonna need to know that information.
Totally.
I'm like a step beyond that though, where I don't even know the information. No
Sherlock.
one like, I don't even find the information to begin with. I just don't have it. Okay, Barbie. I think Barbie's gonna be higher at 91. We go 91. And because I know absolutely nothing about Oppenheimer, I'm still gonna say, I haven't seen the trailer or anything. I'm gonna say 86. Yeah. But a little bit lower.
For Barbie, I'm saying wait, you said 95?
No, I said 91.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say 95.
Oh, okay.
I was like thinking it and then I said 95.
No.
I'm gonna say 95 for Barbie.
Okay.
I'm so excited for it. That's all I'm going to use is my own personal excitement for this prediction. Oppenheimer, let's say, I would say low 90s.
Okay.
Be on the safe side. I will say 93.
I need like an edit of just you just giving your guesses because they're
Like-
always so like indecisive
Not
and like
wanting
drawn
to
out.
commit
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Tom, would you like to?
Yeah.
We'll send you your gift if you win.
Yeah.
I'll give it a go. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go
What do you got?
89 Barbie, 92 Oppenheimer.
Nice. I like
Okay.
it when it's close like this
This is good. Yeah.
because it's really intense.
Yeah. Like we were all over the board for, relatively speaking, for like the
Mhm.
Flash.
Mhm,
Like because
I
Jeremy,
just
you were
think I'm
89,
wrong.
you were like 70s, and I was
Mhm.
60. Yeah.
mhm.
Mm.
Sweet.
It's tight. It's gonna be a tight
Tight race.
yeah. Mhm. Cool. But yeah, so that wraps up our
Finale episode.
Yeah. And thank you, Tom, for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Tom.
having me. It's fun.